Yo, what's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 and how it's held up for me through 250 and almost 300 miles. I'll go through why I got it, break down the looks, the durability, the longevity, and some of my favorite features, and then I'll wrap up by talking about how I use it and who it's good for. So stick around and let's get into it. First up, I want to talk about why I got the Shift 3. The fall of last year, 2022, I was preparing for my first marathon and still the only marathon I've ever run, which is Charlotte Marathon. That was in November. Through that training build, I was riding the Endorphin Speed 3 pretty hard, and I'd also picked up the Endorphin Pro 3, which is their race day shoe, and my plan was to race in that. And this came out in the fall, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just a Saucony fanboy at this point. Let me pick up the Endorphin Shift 3, complete the Endorphin family, and see where it might slot into my lineup. I didn't really have a need for it. It was more so, it looked kind of cool and I wanted it. Next up, let's talk about the looks. This is actually one of my favorite running shoes to wear, and I think it's one of the most versatile. It goes with pretty much everything in my closet. This nice blue colorway goes with my brighter running clothes. It goes with my more toned down black and neutrals. It goes with pretty much everything. I think this is one of the best looking daily trainers on the market, ironically, because Saucony isn't necessarily known for their good looks. I know a lot of people would think Nike or Adidas. I also have the Tracksmith Elliott Runner, which is a more traditional, preppier take on the daily trainer. But in my opinion, this thing looks really solid. I love the way that, especially on the inside of it here, this big stack looks just that clean white, and then the sleek race day almost silhouette on the upper is a nice touch. Next up, let's talk about the ride on this bad boy. The Endorphin Shift 3 has this big stack of Power Run, which is one of the three main foams that Saucony uses in their premium running shoes. Something about it is just perfect for me. It's, like I said, a bit on the firmer side, but as I get into my daily paced miles, which for me these days is anywhere from 7 flat up to 7:45, it feels so nice. With the way that this kind of curves up, it has just the right amount of cushion. It's not too poppy, and because there's no play, there's no fancy things in here, I can just kind of roll along and it feels perfect. I've also done some light fartlicks in it, minute on, minute off, taking this down to 6 flat pace, around 10K pace these days. So really pushing it in this, and they will respond. And I'm, for context, 6'2", about 160 to 170, depending on where I'm at in the season. These, for my height, my weight, the way I run, are absolutely perfect. The only drawback that I've found so far with the way that this rides and how it feels on foot is the fit of the upper. It's not necessarily narrow, but it is on the snug side of the spectrum. So for some context, I have a pretty, I'd say, medium-sized foot. It's not narrow, it's not wide. I can fit into the Nike Pegasus, I can fit into the Vaporfly, those dart-like shoes, but they are tight. And so here I would say it does have more of that traditional race day snug upper. So my pinky toe, when I have it on foot, it does feel a little bit cramped on this left side here, especially through the first 1 or 2 miles, but as I get into it, that feeling just melts away. And other than that, the upper is extremely comfortable. In terms of the fit overall, this is true to size. I'm a 10.5 and I run 10.5 in everything through Saucony's lineup. I have the Triumph, Speed 3, Pro 3 in this, and I'm 10.5 through and through. Now let's talk about the longevity. So these guys have about 250, in between 250 and 300 miles right now. And I mean, take a look at them. They do not look like they have that much wear and tear on them. And like I said, I'm a taller runner. I run with a lot of force and power. and they do not look like it. The outsole has held up extremely well. The one place where you can see the wear is on this back heel, which is one of those high contact areas with the ground for me. So on the left shoe, I've run through the rubber on the back. Right shoe is not as much, but still kind of getting through there. And that's really the only area where you can see much wear and tear on these. Other than that, they've held up well, and the foam seems to keep going and going and going and going. I plan to take them to 400. I know they have this outsole that's wearing through, but I think I could probably get another 150, 100 miles out of them, and then I'll look to replace them with something else. But I will definitely always keep a pair of the Shifts in my rotation. For me, it slots right into that everyday mile category. So getting out there, putting in the work, building the aerobic base. Shout out to Seth James Demore for that one. But this is what I'll reach for when, you know, I don't really want to push the pace into the 6s, which for me is getting into that marathon pace and race pace category. It's, you know, I just want to go out there, have a good run. I might run steady-ish, which is down into the low 7s. But I just want to get some miles, build the aerobic engine, and see some beautiful trees and birds around the neighborhood. And so this is what I throw on the feet for that. Now, because these have a bigger stack, I think a lot of folks would immediately associate this with an easy day or recovery day shoe, but that's not where it falls for me. I would actually pull for the Triumph or something like the Asics Gel Nimbus 25 for that. For me, this is straight in that everyday category with if I want to throw some strides in or do a light fartlek. When I go slower in this, because it has a bit of a firmer ride, it's not the best for those, for me, 8-minute, 9-minute days when I'm really just trying to get some recovery in. I like something a bit softer for those. This is perfect for me when I'm going out with that everyday pace, getting the heart rate up a little bit, but not pushing it too much. My final thoughts on the Saucony Shift 3 is that this is an awesome everyday trainer shoe for someone who's a bit bigger or taller, who likes more support, and who doesn't want fancy technology, who doesn't need a super foam or a carbon fiber plate in their daily trainer, who wants to have their feet protected for those daily miles and might pick it up here and there, but doesn't need something super soft or super, on the other end, bouncy like a Nova Blast, who, you know, wants to keep it simple but prefers to have more of that cushion and that stack. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you liked what you heard, subscribe. I am going to be putting out a lot more content soon, so follow along the journey.